The huge room sparkled like it was made of diamonds. Bright lights bounced off every wall. In the center, on a tall chair that looked like it was carved from a giant crystal, sat Emperor Zoxnara. She wasn't human. Her skin had a blue-green color with scales that shimmered when she moved. 6 eyes, arranged in 2 rows on her face, looked down at the small group of humans standing before her. Emperor Zoxnara's long fingers tapped on the arm of her throne. She wore rings on each of her 12 fingers, each ring taken from a world she had conquered. The latest empty spot on her hand was meant for Earth. "So these are the humans," she said, her voice deep and echoing in the large hall. They looked soft, breakable. The room was filled with other aliens like her. They all had the same scaly skin and multiple eyes, though none had the Emperor's rich purple robes or crown of metal spikes. They laughed at her words. Olivia Sutton did not laugh. She stood tall, her dark hair pulled back neatly, wearing the simple blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. Next to her stood a boy, no more than 12 years old. His name was Eli Carter. He had messy brown hair and wore regular clothes, just a t-shirt and jeans. He looked around the room with wide, curious eyes, not scared at all. "Emperor Zoxnara," Olivia said, bowing slightly. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us." The Emperor waved her hand dismissively. "I did not agree. I summoned you here to accept your surrender. My fleet surrounds your planet as we speak." One of the Emperor's advisors stepped forward. This one had red markings on her scales. "Our scans show they have primitive weapons, Your Highness. Their strongest bombs would barely scratch our smallest ships." "We know," Olivia said calmly. "We're not here to fight you." This seemed to surprise the Emperor. She leaned forward slightly. "Then you've come to surrender? To beg for mercy?" "Others have tried. It did not help them." Behind the Emperor's throne, holographic images appeared. They showed different planets, each one beautiful and unique. Then the images changed to show these same worlds burning, their cities destroyed, their people in chains. "I am Emperor Zoxnara of the Arthean Empire. I have conquered 1,042 worlds. Earth will be 1,043. She smiled, showing sharp teeth. "If you surrender now, I might let some of your people live as servants." Olivia didn't flinch. "Actually, we've come to make a deal." The Emperor laughed, a harsh sound like breaking glass. The other aliens in the court joined in. "A deal? What could you possibly offer me? Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your armies are tiny compared to mine. What do humans have that I could want?" "Information," Olivia said. "And a solution to your problem on Cauldron 5. The laughter stopped instantly. The Emperor's 6 eyes narrowed and she sat up straight. "How do you know about Cauldron 5? She demanded. Her voice was dangerous now. One of the advisors whispered in the Emperor's ear. She nodded slowly. "Speak, human. What do you know of Cauldron 5? Olivia took a step forward. "We know you established 3 colonies there. We know all 3 were destroyed. We know you sent your best warriors to hunt down what you call the beast and none of them came back." The Emperor's hands gripped the arms of her throne tightly. "Our communications are unbreakable. Our security is perfect. How did you learn this?" Eli spoke for the first time. His voice was clear and confident despite his young age. "You talk too much on open channels. And your security has holes in it. Big ones." An angry murmur spread through the court. One of the guards stepped toward Eli, but the Emperor held up her hand, stopping him. "The boy speaks truth," she said quietly. "Interesting." She turned back to Olivia. "Continue." "We propose a simple exchange," Olivia said. "Send us to Cauldron Phi. If we can deal with the beast that's killing your people, Earth remains free and independent. We'll even consider a trade agreement with the Arthean Empire. And if you fail?" the Emperor asked. "Then Earth is yours. No resistance. Complete surrender." The Emperor's top eyes blinked slowly while her bottom ones studied Olivia and Eli carefully. "You would risk your entire world on this?" "We would." The Emperor stood up. She was very tall, almost 7 feet, and looked down at the humans. "You have no idea what you're dealing with. The beast of Cauldron Phi is like nothing you've ever seen. It hunts our soldiers for sport. It learns and adapts to every weapon we use. It cannot be killed." "Maybe killing isn't the answer," Eli said quietly. The Emperor stared at him for a long moment. Then she began to laugh again, but different this time. There was genuine amusement in it. "You think you can tame the untamable? You think you can succeed where the greatest warriors in the galaxy have failed?" She shook her head. "Your species is either very brave or very foolish. Sometimes they look the same. Olivia replied with a small smile. The Emperor returned to her throne and sat down. She tapped her fingers against her chin, thinking. Your offer amuses me, she finally said, and I grow tired of losing valuable soldiers to that cursed planet. She leaned forward. Very well. I accept your terms. I will send you to Cauldron Fiv with a small crew. If by some miracle you succeed, Earth remains free. When you fail, your planet becomes mine. She smiled coldly at Eli. You can have my planet if you tame that beast, laughed the Emperor. The human boy just smiled. We leave immediately, Olivia said. The Emperor nodded. Commander Kreval will escort you to her ship. She pointed to a scarred alien standing near the throne. This one looked like a warrior with armor instead of robes and many scars on her visible scales. Commander Kreval stepped forward. She was shorter than the Emperor but moved like a predator. She looked at the humans with obvious disgust. My ship leaves in 1 hour, she said. Be ready. As the humans turned to follow the commander, the Emperor called out. One more thing? They stopped and looked back. I'm curious, why bring a child on such a dangerous mission? Olivia glanced at Eli, then back to the Emperor. He's not just any child. I'm the beast tamer, Eli said with a confident smile. As they left the throne room, whispers followed them. The aliens couldn't understand why humans would send their weakest member, a child, to face their greatest challenge. They didn't know that sometimes strength came in unexpected forms. On the way to the ship, Eli looked up at the strange stars visible through the crystal ceiling. They don't understand us at all, do they? He asked Olivia. No, she replied. And that's our advantage. The door to the ship bay opened before them, revealing a massive vessel shaped like a spear, its crystal hull gleaming in the light. Their journey to Cauldron Fiv was about to begin, and with it, the fate of Earth would be decided. The ship called Void Striker moved through space like a sharp knife. Its crystal sides reflected the light of distant stars. Inside, Olivia and Eli sat in a small room with plain metal walls. It was cold and the seats were hard, made for alien bodies and not human ones. Commander Kreval entered the room. She wore battle armor that showed many dents and scratches from old fights. One of her 6 eyes was cloudy, the result of an old injury. She looked at the humans with distrust. We will reach Cauldron Fiv in 3 days, she said. Her voice was rough, like stones grinding together. Until then, you will stay in this room. We'd like to see the ship, Olivia said, and learn more about Cauldron Vibe and the Beast. Kreval made a sound that might have been a laugh. You think I will give you information that could help you win our bet? The Emperor may find your offer amusing, but I do not. Eli, who had been quiet until now, looked up at the commander. You've seen it, haven't you? The Beast? Kreval's good eyes all turned to focus on the boy. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she touched a long scar that ran from her neck down under her armor. Yes, I am one of only 3 who have seen it and lived. She pulled up her sleeve to show more scars on her arm. It took my hunting party of 20 elite warriors. I escaped by hiding in a pool of mud for 2 days while it looked for me. What does it look like? Eli asked. Kreval seemed to consider whether to answer. Finally, she said, it changes. Sometimes it has scales like ours, sometimes fur, sometimes something else. It learns and adapts, but it is always large, always fast, and always clever. It copies things it sees? Olivia asked, leaning forward with interest. Not exactly. It evolves. Quickly. Each time we find a way to hurt it, it changes to protect itself. Our scientists believe it can alter its own body somehow. Kreval's eyes narrowed. Why am I telling you this? It doesn't matter. You will fail just like the others. She turned to leave, but Eli's voice stopped her. What happened to the colonies? The people who lived there? Kreval turned back slowly. Dead, all of them. The first colony was just gone when our ships arrived for a supply drop. The second managed to send a distress call. By the time help arrived, everyone was dead. The third colony was military. Trained warriors with our best weapons. They lasted 8 days. And you still don't know why it attacks? Olivia asked. It is a monster. It needs no reason. Kreval pressed a button near the door. Food will come soon. Do not try to leave this room. After she left, Olivia turned to Eli. What do you think? Eli closed his eyes for a moment. It's not what they think it is. Not just a monster. He opened his eyes and looked at Olivia. Something is missing from their story. I agree. and we need to find out what it is before we get to the planet. For the next 2 days, they tried to learn more. Each time food was brought, they asked questions. Most of the ship's crew ignored them, but one young alien named Trix seemed curious about the humans. She was smaller than the others, with lighter-colored scales. She told them she was a science officer, not a warrior. I study new worlds and their plants and animals, she explained when she brought their food on the second day. I have never met humans before. Your kind is interesting. Can you tell us more about Cauldron 5? Olivia asked. Trix looked around nervously. Commander Kreval said not to talk to you about that. We're just curious about the planet itself, Eli said with his most innocent smile. Like what kind of place it is. Is it hot or cold? What kinds of plants grow there? This was something Trix was happy to talk about. Oh, it is a beautiful world. Warm and wet with huge forests and deep blue oceans. The plants grow very tall, some trees reach up for miles. And there are so many colors. The soil is rich with minerals. It sounds like a perfect place for a colony, Olivia said. Trix nodded. Yes, that is why we chose it. Good farming land, valuable metals in the mountains, and no dangerous animals. Her face fell. At least that is what we thought at first. Was there nothing living there when you arrived? Eli asked. Small animals. Birds, fish, some forest creatures. Nothing dangerous. Nothing intelligent. Trix seemed uncomfortable now. I should go. Commander Kreval will be angry if she finds me talking to you. On the third day, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the humans' room. The door slid open and Commander Kreval rushed in. We're under attack, she said. The beast has somehow detected our approach. It's in orbit around the planet. That's not possible, Olivia said. How could it get into space? I don't know and I don't care. It's happening. Kreval grabbed them each by an arm. Come with me. If we're going to die, you're going to see what killed us. She pulled them through the corridors of the ship. Other aliens ran in all directions. Some wore armor carrying weapons. Others worked at control panels shouting to each other. They reached the bridge, a large room at the front of the ship with a huge clear window looking out into space. Through it, they could see a beautiful green and blue planet. But something else was moving out there too. Something big. There it is, Kreval said, pointing. At first, Eli couldn't see anything. Then a shadow moved against the stars. It was huge, almost as big as their ship. It seemed to be made of metal and something else. Something that moved and shifted like it was alive. That's not an animal, Olivia whispered. That's a ship. No, Kreval said. It's both, somehow. The thing turned toward them. It had no clear shape. Parts of it looked smooth and designed like technology, while other parts seemed to grow and change even as they watched. A bright light at its center glowed and pulsed like a heart. Evasive maneuvers, Kreval shouted to her crew. Charge weapons! The ship shook as it turned sharply. The beast ship followed them, moving faster than something so large should be able to move. It's coming straight for us, someone yelled. Eli stepped forward, staring at the creature ship with wonder rather than fear. It's beautiful, he said softly. The beast ship suddenly released a pulse of energy. Their ship rocked violently. Lights flickered and people fell to the floor. Hull breach in sections 4 and 7, a crew member shouted. We're losing power. We need to land now, Kreval ordered. Take us down to the surface. The ship turned toward the planet, engines straining. The beast ship followed, releasing more energy pulses that hit their ship. Why does it attack from orbit? Olivia asked as she held onto a rail to keep from falling. If it controls space, why didn't it destroy all your ships before they reached the planet? Kreval looked at her with sudden realization. It doesn't want to destroy all ships. It lets some land. It's selecting, or testing, Eli said, his eyes still fixed on the beast ship. It's curious about who's visiting. As the Void Striker entered the planet's atmosphere, flames appeared around the ship. The beast ship stopped following and simply watched them fall. Emergency landing procedures, Kreval shouted. Brace for impact. The ship shook harder as it rushed toward the ground. Through the window, they could now see the tops of enormous trees rushing up to meet them. With a deafening crash, the Void Striker hit the forest and plowed through trees before finally coming to rest in a clearing. Smoke filled the bridge. Warning sounds blared from every direction. Eli stood up from where he had fallen. He looked out the cracked window at the alien world they had crash-landed on. Tall purple trees surrounded them. Strange birds with 6 wings flew above. The air had a golden color to it. We're here, he said quietly. Cauldron V. In the sky above, barely visible through the trees and golden air, the beast ship watched and waited. Smoke rose from the crashed ship. The metal creaked and popped as it cooled. Outside, the forest of Cauldron Fifer was quiet except for strange bird calls and the rustle of leaves in the warm breeze. Commander Krival organized the survivors. 28 of her crew had lived through the crash. They set up a camp in the clearing, with the broken ship at its center. Guards stood at the edge of the camp, weapons pointed at the forest. "We need to repair the communication system," Krival told her officers. "Send a distress call to the fleet." She looked up at the sky, but the beast ship was no longer visible. "And stay alert. The beast will come for us soon." Olivia and Eli sat near the ship watching the aliens work. A new human had joined them, Lieutenant Meg Wallace, a scientist who had been in another part of the ship during the journey. She had short red hair and quick, smart eyes that missed nothing. "I was in the cargo hold studying the data we have on this planet," Meg explained. "When the attack came, I couldn't get to the bridge." "What did you learn?" Olivia asked. Meg pulled out a small device and showed them images of the planet. Cauldron V was supposed to be perfect for colonization. Rich soil, good climate, no large predators. The first colony was set up 3 years ago with 50 settlers. "And they all disappeared," Eli said. "Yes. No distress call, no signs of a fight. When the supply ship arrived 6 months later, the buildings were still there, but the people were gone. Their personal items were still in their homes. Food was still on tables," Olivia frowned. "That doesn't sound like an animal attack." "No, it doesn't," Meg agreed. The second colony was larger, 200 people with better defenses. They lasted 4 months before sending a distress call saying they were under attack by some kind of monster. By the time help arrived, everyone was dead. But here's the strange part. The bodies showed no signs of being eaten. They were just killed. Eli looked thoughtful. "What about the third colony?" "Military outpost. 500 trained soldiers with heavy weapons. They reported multiple sightings of a large creature that could change its form. They tried to kill it, but their weapons didn't work. It adapted too quickly. After 8 days, all contact was lost. Their conversation was interrupted by shouting. At the edge of the camp, a guard was pointing at something in the forest. Other guards ran to join him, raising their weapons. "Movement in the trees," someone shouted. "Multiple directions." Commander Krival rushed over, pulling out her own weapon. "Form a defensive circle," she ordered. The aliens quickly arranged themselves in a ring around the camp, backs to the ship. Olivia, Eli, and Meg were pushed into the center for safety. "Do you see it?" Krival asked the guard who had first raised the alarm. "Something big," he replied, his voice shaking, "moving between the trees." Then it was gone. "It's toying with us," another guard said, "like it did on the third colony." As darkness began to fall, the tension grew. The forest seemed to close in around them. Strange sounds came from all directions. Rustling, scratching, sometimes what sounded like breathing. "We should go inside the ship for the night," Olivia suggested. Krival shook her head. "The power systems are damaged. If the hull is breached, we'd be trapped." "Then we need fire," Eli said. "Lots of it." The aliens gathered wood and started large fires around the perimeter of the camp. The golden air made the flames glow with strange colors, purple and green mixed with the orange. The light pushed back the darkness, but only a little. "First watch, stay alert," Krival ordered. "The rest of you, try to sleep. We'll take shifts." Nobody slept well that night. The sounds from the forest continued. Sometimes branches would snap, as if something heavy was moving just beyond the light of the fires. Once, several guards fired their weapons at a shape they thought they saw. But when they checked, there was nothing there. In the early morning, when the first sun rose, Cauldron Fifth had two, Trix screamed. She had gone to get more wood for the fires and found something terrible. Everyone ran to where she stood, shaking and pointing. 3 alien guards lay on the ground, arranged in a perfect circle. They were the ones who had been on watch during the night. All 3 were dead, their necks broken. "It got past our perimeter," Krival said, her voice hollow. "It killed them without making a sound, without anyone seeing. And arranged them like this," Olivia added, looking at the perfect circle. "That's not animal behavior." Eli knelt beside the bodies, looking closely but not touching them. "Look at their faces," he said quietly. "They're not scared. They didn't know it was coming." "Quick deaths," Meg noted. "Almost merciful." Krival spun around to face her. "Merciful? It killed my soldiers." "Yes, but it didn't torture them or eat them," Meg replied calmly. It's killing efficiently, and it's sending a message with how it arranges them. What message? Asked Trix, still trembling. I don't know yet, Meg admitted. But it's deliberate. That day they strengthened their defenses. They built walls using parts of the ship and wood from the forest. More guards were posted and no one went anywhere alone. As Meg walked around the camp collecting samples of plants and soil, Eli followed her. What are you looking for? He asked. Anything unusual, she replied. Something that might explain what's happening here. She showed him a sample of soil she had collected. Look at this. The dirt here has an unusual mineral composition. And these tiny organisms, I've never seen anything like them before. Eli looked through her portable microscope. Tiny things moved in the soil sample, too small to see with just eyes. They didn't look like the microbes he had learned about in school. They're not like Earth bacteria, Meg explained. They seem to communicate with each other somehow. And they're in everything here, the soil, the plants, even the air. Are they dangerous? Eli asked. I don't think so. The first colonists lived here for months with no health problems. These little things are just part of this world's ecosystem. As they talked, Eli noticed something strange about the trees nearest to their camp. They seemed to be leaning slightly, their branches stretching toward the humans. The trees weren't like that yesterday, he said, pointing. Meg looked up, frowning. You're right. They've changed position. But trees don't move that fast, even on Earth. These aren't Earth trees, Eli reminded her. That night, 2 more guards disappeared. In the morning, their bodies were found arranged in another perfect circle, farther from the camp. It's getting bolder, Creval said grimly, or more angry. Olivia watched as Eli walked to the edge of the camp, looking into the forest. The boy had been quiet all morning, thinking. What's on your mind? She asked him. I need to go into the forest, he said simply. Creval, who was nearby, heard him. Absolutely not. The beast is out there. Yes, Eli agreed, and we need to find it before it finds more of us. That's suicide, Creval argued. No, it's why we came here. Eli turned to Olivia. I need to see it to understand it. We can't solve this from inside a camp. Olivia looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. He's right. We made a deal with the Emperor. We need to try our way now. Your way will get you killed, Creval said. Maybe, Olivia admitted, but your way isn't working either. More guards will die tonight if we do nothing. After much argument, a plan was made. Eli would go into the forest, but not alone. Olivia, Meg, Creval, and 2 guards would go with him. They would try to find signs of the beast and, if possible, observe it from a safe distance. We leave in 1 hour, Creval decided. Bring weapons. As they prepared, Eli sat alone by the edge of the camp. He watched the strange trees with their purple leaves. The branches seemed to wave even though there was no wind. I know you're watching, he whispered to the forest. I know you're listening. We're coming to find you. And deep in the forest, something heard him. Something watched. Something waited. The small group walked through the forest. Commander Creval led the way, her weapon ready. The 2 guards named Zex and Malvi followed closely behind. Olivia, Eli, and Meg stayed in the middle where it was safest. The forest of Cauldron Fave was like nothing they had ever seen. The trees grew incredibly tall, stretching up hundreds of feet. Their trunks were purple-black and their leaves shimmered with colors that changed as they moved. Strange fruits hung from some branches, glowing softly. Stay close, Creval warned, and stay quiet. They had been walking for about an hour when Meg stopped to examine something on the ground. It was a footprint, but not like any animal track they knew. It was large, bigger than a human hand, and had an unusual shape like a mix between a paw and a hand. Fresh, Meg whispered, touching the edge of the print, made within the last hour. They followed the tracks deeper into the forest. The trees grew thicker here and less light reached the ground. Strange glowing mushrooms provided a soft blue light. The air felt heavy and warm. Suddenly, Creval raised her hand, signaling everyone to stop. She pointed ahead silently. Through the trees, they could see a clearing. In the center was what looked like the ruins of a building. Not a human or Arthean building, but something older, made of a strange green stone covered in symbols none of them recognized. What is that? Olivia whispered. I don't know, Creval replied. There were no records of any structures on this planet before we arrived. Eli stepped forward, staring at the ruins with interest. Someone lived here before you came, he said. Someone built things. Carefully they approached the clearing. The ruins were extensive, not just one building, but what appeared to be the remains of many structures. They had been broken and half buried by time, but the outlines were still visible. "This is impossible," Creval said. "Our surveys showed no signs of civilization. No cities, no technology, no intelligent species." "Maybe your surveys were wrong," Meg suggested. "Or maybe whoever built this lived a long time ago." Eli walked to one of the stone walls and touched the symbols carved into it. They were unlike any writing he had seen before, curves and dots arranged in complex patterns. "These tell a story," he said softly. "How could you possibly know that?" Creval demanded. "I just feel it." Eli ran his fingers over the symbols. Something important happened here. As they explored the ruins, they found more strange things. Metal objects that seemed to be tools or weapons, but designed for hands not like human or Arthean ones. Small statues of creatures with 6 legs and long necks, and everywhere the same symbols carved into the stone. "Look at this," Meg called. She was examining a large flat stone in what might have been the center of the ancient settlement. They gathered around. The stone was covered in carvings, images, not just symbols. They showed tall, slender beings with 6 limbs and elongated heads. The beings appeared to be living in harmony with the forest, building homes among the trees. "An intelligent species," Olivia said, "native to this planet. But where are they now?" asked one of the guards. "We found no signs of any intelligent life when we surveyed the planet." "Maybe they died out," the other guard suggested. "Or left." Eli had moved to another part of the stone. "Or maybe they were killed," he said quietly. The carving he was looking at showed the same 6-limbed beings, but now they were fighting against invaders. The invaders looked different, bulkier with fewer limbs. One side of the carving was damaged, making it hard to see clearly who the invaders were. "How old are these ruins?" Olivia asked. Meg used a device to scan the stone. "According to this, at least 2,000 years old. Maybe older." 2,000 years ago, the Arthean Empire was just beginning," Creval said. "We hadn't even developed space travel yet." "So it wasn't your people who fought them," Olivia said. "But someone did." As they continued to explore, the light began to fade. Both suns were setting, painting the sky with strange colors, deep purple and bright green. "We should head back," Creval decided. "It's not safe to be in the forest at night." But as they turned to leave, they heard a sound that made them all freeze. A low, rumbling growl that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "It's here," Creval whispered, raising her weapon. "The beast." The guards moved into defensive positions, scanning the trees. But they couldn't see anything moving. "Where is it?" one of them asked nervously. "Quiet," Creval ordered. The growl came again, louder this time. It didn't sound like an animal. It was too deep, too resonant, almost like the sound of the earth itself. And then, before anyone could react, one of the guards, Zex, was yanked upward into the trees. It happened so fast they barely saw it. Just a blur of movement and he was gone. "Zex," the other guard, Malvi, shouted, firing her weapon into the canopy. "Stop," Creval ordered. "You'll hit him, too late." There was a terrible scream, cut short, and then silence. "Back to back," Creval ordered. "Now." They formed a tight circle, facing outward, weapons ready. Eli stood in the center, his eyes scanning the trees. "It's watching us," he said. "How do you know?" Olivia asked. "I can feel it. Like it's thinking about what to do next." Minutes passed. Nothing happened. The forest was completely silent now. No bird calls, no rustling leaves. Just the sound of their own breathing. And then, something dropped from the trees. Not the guard, but a small object that landed with a soft thud at their feet. It was a piece of technology, part of a scanner that had been in Zex's pack. It had been taken apart, each piece separated neatly and arranged in a perfect circle. "It's studying our technology," Meg said, staring at the disassembled scanner, "learning how it works." "This isn't animal behavior," Olivia agreed. "This is intelligence." Creval shook her head. "No animal is this smart, and there are no intelligent species on this planet except us." "Maybe there are," Eli said. "Maybe we just haven't met them yet." As darkness fell completely, they had no choice but to make camp in the ruins. They built a fire in what appeared to be an ancient courtyard, surrounded by broken walls that offered some protection. 2-hour watches, Creval told them. "I'll take first." None of them slept well. Every sound made them jump. The trees around the ruins seemed to move slightly, even without wind. and all night they felt like something was watching them. In the morning, there was no sign of the missing guard. But as they prepared to leave, Eli noticed something strange. The symbols on one of the walls had changed. New marks had been carved into the stone during the night, fresh cuts that hadn't been there the day before. "Look at this," he called to the others. The new marks were different from the ancient symbols. They looked like a combination of the old writing and something else, something that resembled both Arthean and human letters. "It's trying to communicate," Eli said, excitement in his voice. "That's impossible," Creval insisted. "The beast is an animal. What if it's not?" Olivia asked. "What if it's something else entirely?" Eli traced the new symbols with his finger. "I think it's learning our languages by watching us. It's trying to talk to us. Or trick us," Creval said darkly. As they debated what to do, Meg had been examining the soil near the ruins. She called them over, her face serious. "I've been analyzing these samples since yesterday," she explained, showing them her scanner. "The microorganisms in the soil here are unusual. They form networks like a neural system, and they're everywhere, in the soil, the plants, even the air." "What does that mean?" Olivia asked. "It means this whole forest might be connected somehow, like one giant organism or a collective." "The trees that move," Eli said. "The feeling of being watched from everywhere at once. It all makes sense." "Nothing about this makes sense," Creval argued. But as they talked, Eli had wandered a short distance away. He was looking at something on the ground, a path of small glowing mushrooms that hadn't been there before. They formed a line leading away from the ruins deeper into the forest. "It's showing us the way," he said. "The way to what?" Malvi asked nervously. "I don't know, but I'm going to find out." Eli started following the mushroom path. "Eli, wait," Olivia called, hurrying after him. Creval swore in her own language, then motioned for the others to follow. "Stay alert," she ordered. This could be a trap. The glowing mushroom path led them through the forest for nearly an hour. The trees grew denser, the light dimmer. Strange sounds echoed around them, not threatening but alien and mysterious. And then the path ended at the mouth of a cave. It was a large opening in a hillside surrounded by more ruins, just fragments of walls and broken pillars. The same symbols covered these stones. "We shouldn't go in there," Malvi said, fear in her voice. "We have to," Eli replied. He looked at Olivia. "This is why we came, isn't it? To find the beast." Olivia nodded slowly. "Yes, but we go together and carefully." Creval checked her weapon. "I'll go first." The cave entrance was dark, but as soon as they stepped inside, more of the glowing mushrooms lit up along the walls, illuminating their way. The tunnel sloped downward, leading deep into the earth. "It knew we were coming," Meg whispered. "It prepared the way." They walked for what felt like a long time, the tunnel twisting and turning. And then it opened into a vast underground chamber. What they saw there made them all stop in amazement. The huge cave was filled with soft blue light. Glowing crystals grew from the ceiling and walls. In the center stood what looked like a small city. Not ruins, but intact buildings made of the same green stone they had seen before. The structures twisted and curved in strange, beautiful ways that seemed both ancient and somehow alive. But most amazing of all were the creatures moving among the buildings. They were tall and slender, with 6 limbs just like in the carvings. Their skin shimmered with colors that shifted as they moved. Their heads were elongated with large eyes that glowed in the dim light. Some walked on all 6 limbs, while others used 4 as legs and 2 as arms. "The native species," Olivia whispered. "They're still here." "Impossible," Creval said, her voice shaking. "Our scans showed no intelligent life. They live underground," Meg realized. "That's why your scans missed them." The creatures hadn't noticed them yet. They moved about their city carrying objects, talking to each other in a language that sounded like music. Clicks and whistles and long, flowing notes. Eli took a step forward, but Creval grabbed his arm. "Don't," she warned. "We don't know if they're dangerous." "They're not the beast," Eli said. "They're just people who live here." As they watched, something else entered the underground city from the far side. It was large, much larger than the 6-limbed natives. It moved gracefully despite its size, and as it came into the light, they all gasped. The beast of Cauldron Thief didn't look like a monster. It looked like a combination of the 6-limbed natives and something else entirely. It had a body that seemed partly made of the same materials as the strange ship they had seen in orbit. Metal and crystal were fused with flesh and scales in a way that should have been horrifying but was somehow beautiful. It walked on 4 powerful legs, with 2 additional limbs that looked more like arms. Its head was large, with eyes that glowed brightly in different colors. Parts of it shifted and changed even as they watched, like it wasn't quite solid. The natives didn't fear it. They approached it, touching it gently, almost reverently. It lowered its head to them in what looked like affection. "It's not hunting them," Olivia said. "It's protecting them." Suddenly, the beast's head snapped up. It looked directly at where they stood in the tunnel entrance. All its eyes focused on them at once. "It sees us," Malvi whispered, raising her weapon. "Don't shoot," Eli said quickly. "It's not attacking." The beast stared at them for a long moment. Then it did something unexpected. It made a sound. Not a growl or roar, but a series of complex tones similar to the natives' language. And the natives turned to look at them too. For a few tense seconds, no one moved. Then one of the natives, taller than the others, with skin that shimmered mostly blue, stepped forward. It made a gesture that seemed welcoming, beckoning them to enter the city. "It wants us to come in," Eli said. "It could be a trap," Kreval warned. "I don't think so," Eli replied. He stepped forward out of the tunnel and into the cave. The natives watched him curiously. The beast moved closer, towering over the boy. But it made no threatening moves. It simply lowered its head, bringing its eyes level with Eli's. Eli reached out his hand, palm forward, and waited. The beast looked at his hand, then extended one of its upper limbs. At the end was something like a hand, but with 7 fingers arranged in a circle. It gently touched Eli's palm with one finger. A connection formed. Eli gasped as images flooded his mind, memories that weren't his own. He saw the planet as it had been thousands of years ago, the natives living in harmony with their world. Then strangers came from the sky, not Artheans, but another species. There was war, destruction. The natives were nearly wiped out. The survivors retreated underground, hidden from anyone who might come looking. And they created a guardian, a being that could adapt and change to protect them from any threat. Part machine, part biological, with the ability to evolve rapidly. The beast. When the Artheans came, the beast watched them carefully. The first colony was peaceful, but they built on sacred land, the ruins of an ancient city. The beast tried to communicate, to make them understand they needed to move. When that failed, it relocated them, took them away in the night to another part of the planet where they wouldn't disturb the sacred sites. But the Artheans didn't understand. They sent more colonists with weapons. They tried to kill the beast, so it defended itself and its people. Eli saw it all in a flash of understanding. When the connection broke, he turned to the others. "I know what happened," he said. "This isn't about territory or hunting. It's about protection and misunderstanding." He explained what he had seen to Olivia, Meg, and Kreval. The commander listened with growing shock on her face. "You're saying we've been killing each other because we couldn't talk to each other?" she asked. "Yes," Eli said simply. Neither side understood the other. The tall blue native stepped forward again. This time it made sounds that seemed to form words. Broken, imperfect, but recognizable. "You learn now," it said in a halting version of the human language. "It's been studying us," Meg realized, "learning our languages from watching the colonies." "We learn," Olivia replied to the native, speaking slowly and clearly. "We want to understand." The native made a gesture and several others came forward. They carried objects that they placed on the ground, personal items from the missing Arthean colonists. Not trophies of kills, but carefully preserved possessions. "They didn't kill all of them," Eli said. "They relocated some. They're trying to show us." Kreval stepped forward cautiously. "Where are our people?" "The ones you took?" The beast made another sound, and one of the natives pointed to a passage on the far side of the cave. The meaning was clear that way. "We need to see," Kreval said. The blue native nodded and led them through the underground city. The other natives watched curiously but made no threatening moves. The beast followed behind them, its steps surprisingly quiet for something so large. They were led to another cave, this one filled with strange plants that glowed and pulsed. And there, to their amazement, were people, Artheans in the simple clothes of colonists. They were tending the plants, working alongside the natives. They looked up in surprise as the group entered. Commander Kreval, one of them, said in disbelief, How did you find us? We thought you were dead, Kreval replied. All of you. Not dead, the colonist said. Just relocated. The natives brought us here after we accidentally built our settlement on their sacred grounds. We couldn't communicate at first, but over time we've learned. And the military outpost? Kreval asked. The soldiers who were killed? The colonist's face fell. They attacked first. The Guardian had no choice but to defend its people. The beast, the Guardian, made another sound. Through Eli, who somehow could now understand bits of its meaning, it explained that it had tried to be merciful. It killed quickly without suffering. It left the bodies arranged in patterns that should have been recognized as communication attempts. It was trying to tell us to stop fighting, Eli translated. To talk instead. Olivia turned to Kreval. Now we understand. This isn't a monster to be hunted. These aren't animals to be ignored. This is a civilization, different from ours but just as real. Kreval looked around at the natives, the colonists living peacefully with them, and the guardian beast that had been so misunderstood. Slowly she lowered her weapon completely. I need to report this to the Emperor, she said. Everything we thought we knew about this planet was wrong. 3 days later they were back on a repaired ship, heading toward the Arthean capital. The beast ship, the Guardian space form, followed them peacefully, no longer a threat now that understanding had been reached. On board were representatives of the natives, volunteers from the relocated colonists, and most importantly, the knowledge needed to prevent further bloodshed. Eli stood at a window watching the stars pass by. Olivia joined him. You did it, she said. You tamed the beast, Eli smiled. I didn't tame anything. I just listened. The Guardian was never a mindless monster. It was intelligent, caring, protective. All it wanted was for its people to be safe. Just like us, Olivia noted. Protecting Earth was our goal too. When they reached the Arthean capital, Emperor Zoxanara was waiting. She sat on her crystal throne, 6 eyes widening as the strange procession entered her court. Kreval, the humans and the representatives from Cauldron Fief, including a smaller version of the Guardian beast that had been created specially for this diplomatic mission. What is the meaning of this? The Emperor demanded. Olivia stepped forward. Your Majesty, we have fulfilled our promise. The beast of Cauldron 5 will no longer threaten your people. You killed it? The Emperor asked. No, Eli said, moving to stand beside the small Guardian. We understood it, and now it understands us. The small Guardian made a series of sounds, which one of the natives translated into the Arthean language. The Emperor listened with growing astonishment as the true story of Cauldron the Five was explained. When the tale was finished, Emperor Zoxanara rose from her throne and descended the steps to stand before Eli and the Guardian. In all my years of conquest, she said slowly, I have never encountered anything like this. She looked at the boy. You did not defeat the beast with weapons or technology. You did it with understanding.